So good
Yes.
morning to one and all. Today will be the last of the sanctuary study, right? So to God be the glory. And as we close off, let's jump right into it. And let's recap what we would have studied last week. We would have reached to this point where God now said it is done.
Okay.
And we understood what was done, right? The 144,000. They would have proven to the world that God's commandments could be kept, even though they were going through trials and temptations and all of these things, yet they did not fall, they did not sin. Um, and Sister Dana would have asked a really amazing question, because again, some people may have had the notion that the 144,000,
Yeah.
would not be
Sin.
able to be tempted,
Mm.
right? But because they are in the flesh, they will be able to be
Yeah.
tempted, right? So we saw that. But what happened? They would have overcome the strongholds. They would have gotten the victory, even at the Sunday law, right? That would have been the practice, their training ground. And they would have cleaved to God's word, and throughout that time period until the end, they would have been getting victory after victory after victory. And obviously, they spread the word, the loud cry, and all of these different things, right? And God now intervenes at this time and says, "It is done." Now, there's more there, but we will get into it a bit later. So this is just a brief recap, right? Right. So I just had a bit of technical difficulties there, right? So we know when this took place, right? Um, when God intervenes for his saints, it actually takes place after the Day of Atonement, right? After the Day of Atonement, we know that the plagues begin to fall, and between the sixth and the seventh, actually the commencement or the beginning of the seventh, God speaks this word, this word. It is done, and the saints are delivered. For those who were here in the Revelation study, we would have exhausted this scenario because there's so much things that take place, so much involved during this time. Um, so I would not be going into depths in this study because we would have already covered that in the Revelation study, right? So we're just going to glaze over probably some things that we would have missed um, about this period of time, right? So again, this takes place after the Day of Atonement. We know after the Day of Atonement, the plagues begin to fall, and at the seventh plague, God's people are delivered. We looked at Zephaniah chapter 2, a decree went out. We looked at also Psalms 83. The world now has covenanted to cut off Israel as a people, or to kill them, to destroy them, right? Because they are being blamed for the plagues. Now, I want us to, as we're still kind of recapping, I want us to have a bit of a pictorial view of what we would have studied last week, right? So let's assume this is our present time, 2026. The ninth hour workers are here. The ninth hours workers will come to the SL, this is the Sunday law, at some time in the future. We know that this is the test that separates the goat from the sheep, the wheat from the tares, etc. So thereafter, God will pour out his spirit, right? The latter rain will fall thereafter. There would be a balance of the ninth hour workers, and God will bring in the 11th hour workers, and they will comprise of the 144,000. They now are empowered by the Holy Spirit to give the loud cry. At some time in the future, that loud cry would come to an end, and then the PL, the plagues, will fall, right? And then sometime in the future after that, Jesus would return. So this is just a graphical depiction of time, right? So in sometime in our near future, the Sunday law would come. This would be our test, right? to see who would go through. This is what we studied this probably about 2 lessons back, right? This is our test to really see if it is we are following God. After that, God will pour out his latter rain. The latter rain only comes after this test, right? The balance that remains of the 9th-hour workers will be joined with the 11th-hour workers. God will have his 144,000. We looked at that. The numbers do not diminish. Well, it does diminish, but God replenishes the number. They would now be empowered to go out, spread the last message of salvation to the world. The plagues will come at some time. No date is given or anything like that. The plagues will come at some time. Probation has closed at this time, and then sometime thereafter, Jesus must come, right? After the 7 plagues, Jesus must return. My intention is to show us that this Sunday law isn't really far off based on what we are seeing happening and based on the study that we are seeing. Therefore, the onus is on us to really strive to prepare ourselves for this time. And we saw how we had to prepare, right? We had to get our lives in alignment with Christ. We have to overcome all those sins that easily beset us. And we saw how God breaks down those strongholds, right? Now, I want to prove to you and show you that these things are truly near at hand. We looked at this last week in relation to the 11th-hour workers. They would come after the Sunday law, but we saw that the analogy of Cornelius, they must be preparing now. God is preparing them now, so when that time comes, just as Cornelius, he will send them to the 9th-hour workers. And this statement is true, and we're going to see that, right? Hear what it says here. They are diligent students of the word of prophecy in all parts of the world who are obtaining light and still greater light from searching the scriptures. This is true of all nations, of all tribes, of all people. These, which is the 11th-hour workers, will come from the grossest era. So, well, that is self-explanatory, right? And will take the place of those who have had opportunities and privileges and have not prized them. So the 11th-hour workers come from grossest era. They are currently studying the prophecies, and they come from all over the world, right? The different nationalities, cultures, etc., etc. But they are currently studying the word, and as we read last week with Cornelius, they are being inspired to really study the word to the best of their ability. And we actually saw this. We are actually living this time when this is happening. And I just want to play a video here, a very short clip of this person. You're going to see it.
Boy, that is the prayer, isn't it? Not to look at people as...
Are you all hearing the audio?
Yes.
No, this is Tucker Carlson, but he's interviewing Brian. What is his name again? Brian
D.
No, not
Ryan D.
not Ryan D. He's an actor. Now when the Spirit of Prophecy says that the 11th-hour workers, they are studying prophecy, this is what he's doing, and he's coming from gross era. Again, he was into acting, so you know that their lifestyle is, and then he would have come out and talked about it and how he converted to Christianity. He got baptized in 2024. And we're going to watch the video and then we're going to talk about it, right? Russell Brand is his name, right? So let's watch it here.
Someone who can do something for you, yeah.
Yeah, sort of objectify even powerful people.
So you were just reading me, because I want to talk about your book and I want to talk about your journey as a Christian, and we will, but I just can't resist this. You were just reading me from Daniel in your marginalia-filled Bible from Daniel 11, and I was so struck by it. I took a picture of it and sent it to like 20 people. Can you read the passage that you just read me?
It's from Daniel 11:36. The king will do as he pleases. He will exalt and magnify himself above every god and will say unheard of things against the God of gods. Would you like me to continue?
Please.
He will be successful until the time of wrath is completed. For what has been determined must take place. He will show no regard for the gods of his ancestors, or for the one desired by women. Nor will he regard any god, but will exalt himself above them all.
Boy, that is the prayer, isn't it?
No, it's a very short clip, and I wanted to keep it short, right? So the person you just watched there, this guy here, is Russell Brand. He was an actor in the world, like literally in the world. He would have bought out books of his lifestyle orgies and all sorts of craziness, right? Now, what happened to him? And I followed him. How I got in contact with him, not literally, but started to follow him on YouTube, was during COVID. Now, I believe that God really has awakened some of his 11th hour workers during COVID. Now, he was a willing, living his life, being an actor. But what if it is, for those who know, if you go back and watch some of his old videos, COVID awakened something in him, and he saw that this world is run by wicked individuals. This is his own. You could go and look at his videos. So he and a lot of other individuals as well, probably non-Christians as well as other denominations as well, they saw that during COVID, something was wrong, something was up, and they now were led to the Bible, which would have led him in 2024 to get baptized, right? So he gave his life to Christ. It was really amazing to see where he came from and how he gave himself to God. And now he's studying the prophecies. Now he doesn't understand it completely, but he's studying the prophecies. He actually wrote a book on prophecy and so forth. So God is really working with these 11th hour workers. This is why last week we saw that they will be sent to the 9th hour workers to get that finishing touch. So they are studying the word. They don't understand it, up to the best of their ability. They don't really understand it fully. But when they come now to the 9th hour workers, the 9th hour workers would put all things straight and explain all the things that probably they could not have understood. So God, while we are sleeping, God is working, And this is just one example. This is just one example of someone who came from the world and grabbed onto prophecy. And again, during COVID, you could read that Bible sales was skyrocketing and so forth. So there were a lot of people at that time who were awakening to truth, and they understood that there are powers and forces that are not that are bent on world domination, right? So again, Russell Brand, you could look at him, but I truly believe this is how God is working with his 11th hour workers, right? He is preparing them for this time here, right? No,
So that part you just spoke about there, right? It's like the French Revolution, and Sodom and Gomorrah. The king in listening.
Daniel 11, yeah. So what he really doesn't understand it to say, well, remember we are the 9th hour workers. We know what it means, right? God gave us the covenant. So he, to the best of his ability, he is studying it, and he probably doesn't know the exactness of the prophecy. But this is why last week, now, whenever I could go back to that slide, boy, well, you all probably could remember, last week, the prophet used the analogy of Cornelius, and Cornelius was told to go to Peter, and Peter now was to bring him up to speed, right? So I use the example of Russell Brand to show you that there are people today who came out of gross darkness. We also saw that some will come from other churches and whatever the case may be. And all they would need after the Sunday law is that final touch. That final touch of explaining what the prophecies really mean, French Revolution, this, that, etc. And they are on their way to preach the gospel and preach the truth. But God right now, he is working. So that shows us that this isn't far away, This isn't far away, because we are seeing that God is preparing his 11th hour workers. And again, I could have shown many, many, many examples with people from COVID have awoken and cleaving to their Bible, cleaving to prophecies. Again, they don't understand it fully, but they are they are on fire. They are seeing that the systems of this world will fall while we are just sleeping, right?
Mm.
So we have to be aware that we do not lose our crowns, right? And we have to strive for that, because this is what the Son of the Lord does. It really separates who are playing the fool from those who are serious. So we have that sign, right? But there's another sign as well. There's another sign as well, and this sign is more internal. Yes, it is external, but we can look at it as internal. Now, again, the ninth hour workers, when they come to here, they must have victory. They must have victory over sin, because when they go forward, they will be sealed, right? Their names will be blotted out of the book of sin. So they must hold fast. So they must gain victory here, right? And when they are in power, they will go forward without sinning, proving to the world that God's commandments can be kept. And I want to read a statement here. Now, this is the shaking. We're going to read a portion of it to show that there are people now that are working towards this goal, who are striving now to get victory. Hear what the prophet says. I saw some with strong faith and agonizing cries pleading with God. So they are pleading with God for victory, because they are warring against the flesh, right? So this is why they are agonizing. So they might fall, they say, Lord help me, they get victory, they might fall again, but they are striving with God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their countenance were pale and marked with deep anxiety, which expressed their internal struggle. So this is the internal struggle that I just mentioned. There were firmness and great earnestness expressed in their countenance, while large drops of perspiration rose upon their foreheads and fell. Now and then their faces would light up with the mark of God's approbation, and again the same solemn, earnest, anxious look settled upon them. Now, evil angel crowded around them, pressing their darkness upon them to shut out Jesus from their view. So while we are striving for victory, it is hard, right? But unbeknown to us, unseen to us, there are angels that don't want us to have victory, and they are trying their best to, you know, probably cast doubt or bring up our past sins. So we would just say, well, I good otherwise, or whatever they do, they are trying to cast darkness upon us so that we would not have victory. But again, these individuals who are agonizing, they understand that, they accept that, but they continue to fight, right?
Be with God.
Yes. Hear what it says, that their eyes might be drawn to the darkness that surround them, and they distrust God and murmur against him. And again, sometimes we catch ourselves in this, as we battle with sin. Sometimes we distrust God, or we can't do it, or we murmur against him, it's too hard, or whatever the case is, right?
Mm.
Their only safety was in keeping their eyes directed upward. Angels were having the charge over the people of God, and as the poisonous atmosphere from the evil angels were pressed around these anxious ones, the angels which had the charge over them were continually waving their wings over them to scatter the thick darkness that surround them. Hear what it says here. Some I saw did not participate in this work of agonizing and pleading. So I want to highlight this here. So this is self-explanatory, but I still want to explain it, right? So some did not strive against sin. Some, they maybe thought it was too hard, or they just gave up and, thought that, here what, a good way is, or they probably said, well, the son-in-law is far off, I don't have to try, I would just, whatever the case is. Hear what happened to those who do not participate in trying to get the victory. They seemed indifferent and careless. They were not resisting the darkness around them, and it shut them in like a thick cloud. The angels of God left them and went to the aid of those earnest praying ones. Right? I saw the angels of God hastening to assist the assistance of all those who were struggling with all their energies to resist those evil angels and trying to help themselves by calling upon God with perseverance. So again, angels are helping us, the Holy Spirit is within us, helping us to overcome sin. But for the careless and indifferent, the Spirit and the angels will leave us and go to the aid of others who are striving. So again, we have to really strive and struggle. Now, we don't have to read everything else. She goes on to the Sunday law and so forth. We know that this is the preparatory work. We have to strive. It is going to be hard. It is going to be difficult, but the end result would be glorious, right? It will be glorious. So that is the case that is going on now with the ninth hour workers. We are striving, we are struggling to get that victory because we know at the Sunday law, we will need that type of power from God to go forth, right? Now, the thing is, the enemy doesn't want us to be successful. And we're going to look at his plan that he's doing currently to spoil these efforts, right? So we're going to read something from the Great Controversy here. It says, notwithstanding the widespread declension of faith and piety, there are true followers of Christ in these churches. Before the final visitation of God, the final visitation of God's judgment, which is the 7 last plagues upon the earth, there will be among God's people of the Lord such a revival of primitive godliness as has not been witnessed since the apostolic time. So what she's saying here, before the plagues fall, God's church is going to be revived. So much so, it is going to look like the apostolic church. Right? How? She goes on to explain. The Spirit and power of God will be poured out upon his children. And we saw that after the Sunday law, God pours out his Spirit, right? At that time, many will separate themselves from those churches in which the love of the world has supplanted love for God and his word. So this is the 11th hour workers. They separate themselves and they join themselves unto the 9th hour workers, right? Many, both of ministers and people, will gladly accept those great truths which God has caused to be proclaimed at this time to prepare people for the Lord's second coming. So we understand that, right? So the 11th hour workers come in, the church is going to be reformed, the Sunday law comes through, gets rid of all the wicked elements. The church, God has a pure ministry now. Now, we sometimes stop there, but there's some more information that she gives us for us to understand. And the reason why she gives us this information, one, is for us to see the nearness of the time, and two, for us to really continue to strive because the time is short. Hear what she says. The enemy of soul desires to hinder this work. So he doesn't want the latter rain to fall because he already knows once it falls, that is it, you know? That is it for him. And before the time of such a movement shall come, he, which is Satan, will endeavor to prevent it by introducing a counterfeit. In those churches which he can bring under his deceptive power, he will make it appear as God's special blessing is poured out. Now, this is a very good, very important statement, right? So Satan will make it seem as though God's special blessing is poured out. What is God's special blessing? The Spirit and power of God will be poured out. So he will counteract that by pouring out his own Spirit. Here what it goes on to say. There will be manifest what is thought to be a great religious interest. Multitude will extol that God is working marvelously for them, when the work is that of another spirit. Under a religious guise, Satan will seek to extend his influence over the Christian world. So again, he comes in just before the Sunday law to try to counteract God's work or keep people in error. This is basically what he wants to do. He keeps them in error by pouring out his Spirit, and it is under the guise of religion, right? So he comes sacrimoniously, as a religious zeal. Now, she says this as well. in many of the revivals which have occurred during the last half century or last 50 years, this is the Millerite movement, the same influence, sorry, the same influence have been at work to a greater or less degree. So I want to pause there. What she's saying is that this same outpouring of Satan's spirit was seen during the Millerite movement. And we don't have to guess. We actually have records of what took place, right? From that time straight up to the early Advent time. Selective Messages, Book 2, actually captures all of that, right? Selective Messages, Book 2 captures all of the, what she calls fanaticism. That is the word she uses for that outpouring of Satan's spirit, fanaticism. And because it's a lot, we can't go through all, but you can just watch all these subtopics to see what she is really talking about, right? So you have like the Holy Flesh movement. I'm not too sure if Sister Dana is here because I'm watching two screens, right? But the Holy Flesh movement was a false doctrine that says that when the Holy Spirit comes, we will not be tempted again. And sometimes people lean to that. They think that when the latter rain comes, you cannot be tempted. That is a false doctrine that had to be dealt with way back in the days. Again, sensational teachings. These are the subtopic headings. We can't go into everything because there's a lot of other stuff in there that she deals with, right? Early fanaticism to be repeated. Now, this fanaticism would be the styles of worship, the Holy Flesh movement, etc., etc. But in this book as well, she also had to deal with, she lays out the story, she also had to deal with false prophets, sorry. So when Satan pours out his spirit, he not only introduces false worship, false theories, ecstatic worship, he also raises up his own prophets as well. Right? So again, these are Selective Messages, Book 2. The entire book mostly focuses on that fanaticism that the church had to deal with in the times past. So what the prophet is saying, before the Sunday law, the devil will amp up or ramp up these things. So we will see more false doctrines, more false movements, more false prophets being raised up with the intention of counteracting the work that is to happen after the Sunday law. So he now tries to extend this thing as long as possible, right? So externally, the 11th hour workers, we are seeing that they are being prepared, and internally, the devil is working his hardest to really keep the church in error, or keep us in error, that he may extend this time, because when Sunday law comes, he knows that right after that is latter rain power. And that is it. We go through, we preach the word, and time, well, eventually would close off for him.
And
So I just, go ahead.
While Satan doing that, he'll get more people on his side.
This is his intention. This is his intention. Remember, Christ, God is love. So he wants to save as much as possible, right? So God will prolong the time. Okay. He will prolong the time. So the onus now is on us to really live that life that God really wants us to live, right?
And this is so dangerous, because the God even said that the way that he would do it, he mixed in truth and error, right? And with that mixture, truth and error, even the very elect could be deceived or would be deceived, right?
Correct.
So the elect now had to be grounded in his word, study his word, and not only study, but live it and share it with others. So that's how the Jesus would be able to come, when we spread the word to others. Yeah. Live the life.
And added to what you're saying, Sister Mary, it also shows us, how close this Sunday law is. Because if the devil is working for that, he knows that he has. No, remember, we can't see certain things. We just read that angels are leaving those who are careless and indifferent and going to those who are striving. He could see that. So while he's seeing, hey, this lady getting victory, this man getting victory, I am going to do something to hinder that. Because if they get victory, then this thing will spread, and then the son of the Lord will come, the latter rain will come, and that's it for me. So there are things that we cannot physically see that is going on that he could see. So he is trying to hinder that. He's trying to hinder that, right? So let's move on there. So it is done, right? Atonement is finished. They have done their work. They have stood for God, and God's word reverberates through the earth. And we find this in Revelation 16 verse 7. And we did this extensively in the Revelation study. It says, and the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, it is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightning, and there was a great earthquake, such as not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. So this is the voice of God that delivers the saints of God. And we wanna look at that because we would have done it in the Revelation study. So I know that we have a basic understanding of what takes place, but I want to contextualize that to the sanctuary. Now, a few weeks ago, we would have looked at this slide, and we looked at individuals before the cross and Hebrew 11s. Hebrew 11 talked about these elders that are asleep. They live by faith, in obedience to the covenant, and they were made perfect. They were made righteous, sorry, but they can only be made perfect if this group here becomes righteous. Right? So we looked at that. Hebrews, for those who want the text, Hebrews 11:40. Probably read the entire thing and you'll get the entire context. So these individuals, and it must end with Laodicea, right? So Laodicea is the last church, so it must be more specific to Laodicea. So through faith, Laodicea must understand the covenant, and they must understand the old and the new, because the old informs them of the new covenant, and they will be righteous through obeying what God commands, right? They will receive righteousness because of their faith and obedience to what God says. And eventually now, these individuals will be able to be made perfect, or all the Bible is trying to say they will now be resurrected. Christ will be able to come. But Christ can only come if this group here becomes obedience to his truth. So this is what we were looking at, and obviously their names will be blotted out as well, right? So let me just go back quickly. So because this group was obedient, God now pronounces, okay, you all have done it. It is done. I could now send my Christ, and he can come and resurrect the dead and bring this thing to an end. So this is basically what Hebrews 11:40 is alluding to. Now, going forward, we're jumping into the study here now, and a very simple one this morning. We understand that there were 4 groups of laborers, right? So we had the third hour workers, ancient Israel. Unfortunately, ancient Israel failed to enter into rest. That is Paul's writing. He said they failed to enter into rest. The covenant now went to the Gentiles, which are denoted as the sixth hour workers, being led by the apostles, right? Now, we also saw that during the other church dispensation, Satan's effort was to blot out the covenant, which he had success in doing, right? He had great success in doing it. The Dark Ages, no truth was really being propagated. So he had great success. God now had to raise up the ninth hour workers, and we know the date, October 22nd, 1844, and he gave them the covenant. Revelation 10 says that they now have the mysteries of God. The mysteries of God will be understood. That is the covenant, right? And Christ would have moved into the most holy place. And sometime in the future, which is after the Sunday law, the 11th hour workers will come in and join the 9th hour workers, and they will give that final message of warning. And then the 7 plagues will come, and Jesus now would be able to come out of the sanctuary. Right? Now, Revelation 14 verse 13, a promise was left to those of the 9th hour workers, those who had the covenant, who God re-established his covenant with. And Revelation 14:13, I'm not going to read the entire thing. It just said, blessed are those who die in the Lord from henceforth. An old English word. That's all that means is from this time going forward. So from October 22nd, 1844, till the time that probation closes, anyone who dies faithfully under the covenant message, a particular blessing is left to them. So I'm going to repeat that. Revelation 14 verse 13. Now, for those who know the prior verse, the 3 angels' messages are introduced. The three angels' message cover the covenant as well. All right? So it denotes the same covenant. And it denotes what the 9th hour workers have to do during the time of the loud cry, which is to warn the world of impending doom for receiving the mark. Right? So God now says that those who I have committed this message to, a particular blessing is left to you if you stay faithful to this covenant message which I have given you. So we need to keep that in mind, right? So we're back to it is done. God steps in, and at the beginning of the 7th plague, we want to know why God says it is done. It is very important because we heard that God says it is done. He announces here what you have completed the work that the entire universe would have been awaiting. And again, Romans chapter 8 verse 19 talks about that the whole creation was awaiting this time. This group, the 144,000, would have accomplished this. So God says it is done. You have defeated Satan, and you have proved to the universe that Satan is a liar. Now God does something. Psalms 25 verse 14. And let me read what it says. It says, the secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will shew them his covenant. Or you could put, he will show them, he will reveal to them his covenant. And I want to ask you all this morning, I want to engage you all. What is God alluding to here? In Psalms 25 verse 14, the secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will shew them his covenant. What is God alluding to?
The secret being the mystery of the Lord, the things of God, right? The secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, right? Okay, if we should use Adventist people, right? They have the secret of revelation. They have the secret of his coming, right? Like what you explaining to us, right? Other religion don't have that, right? For he shall, listen, the secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. He will explain the thing, reveal it then. He'll reveal it to them.
His word.
Yes, he'll reveal it to them. So that what other religions do not understand, his people would be able to understand it and explain it to others. Yeah.
Amen.
But they have to keep his word.
No, I've given you Psalms 25, verse 14. No, Sister Mary, I've given you 99.9% there, right? No, and I like how you said the secret of the Lord is with them that fear him. And I just want to add something here because she said the mysteries, and my eye open. I say, what? I say, yes, man. Now remember in Revelation chapter 10, what God did to Laodicea. It says this in the time of the seventh angel, the mysteries of God will be finished or will
Yeah.
be understood. So you are 100% correct there. And he will show them his covenant. And I've given you 9.9%. Well, the balance of the percent in this one. Now you said, and I think Sister Helen said that he will explain to them or etc.
His word.
This year, it is true, but they would have had that understanding since 1844, right?
Yeah.
This is when, based on Revelation 10, God started to shew them his covenant. At this time, would God still have to teach them his covenant?
No, sir. No, no, sir.
So what the text is saying, this now becomes literal.
Daddy love the people. Yeah.
So at this time, when God says it is done, they would be the holders of obviously of the mysteries of God or of the covenant, right? So they would have, by faith, they understood it, they applied it to their lives, they are living it. Now God is going to literally show them his covenant.
Mhm.
Now, I want to ask a question. Has any one of us literally seen God's covenant?
No,
No.
I don't know.
We have not seen the sanctuary of God. We have not seen the Ten Commandments.
We
We
read
have
about
not
it.
seen the high priest. We haven't seen this thing. We accept it by faith,
We
right?
know.
And this is why Hebrews talks about the covenant being one of faith. It is accepted in the heart, right? But because of their faith, God now is going to reveal to them literally his covenant, right?
Mhm.
Now, what happens? Someone said something?
I said, got you.
Right. Now, so God says it is done. So they know that, okay, they have accomplished their work. Now God is going to reveal to them his covenant. Now, I want to read Psalms chapter 50 as well, verses 3 to 6. Just to drive home that point. It says, and someone could get their Bibles close by. We have about 5 Bible texts to read congruently to really understand what is to take place at this time. So Psalms chapter 50. Our God shall come and shall not keep silent. So we saw that he doesn't keep silent, right? So we know that his coming is soon and he speaks. And then Revelation says that he heard voices and lightning and thunder. So he doesn't come in silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. Now, here's where we need to listen carefully. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. And I want to pause here to break it down. He shall call to the heavens. Now, this isn't improper English, because what happened, the Bible denotes 3 heavens, right? So our atmosphere, when we look up in the sky, the atmosphere is also called heaven. Like where the astronauts go to, where the moon is, that is also called heaven. That is space. And then where God actually dwells is also called heaven. So what the psalmist is saying is that God's voice comes from where he is in his heaven, the third heaven, as Paul puts it, and it comes to our atmosphere and then to our earth. This is why Paul says in the latter time when God speaks, he will shake the heaven and the earth, because his voice travels from the third heaven, comes straight down to our atmosphere and comes to the earth and causes a big earthquake, right? So it isn't bad English, it's just to understand the context of what they're saying here, right? And he says this voice comes to judge his people. Now, I thought they were already judged, but you have to understand the context. This voice comes to judge his people, but to vindicate his people. Let me repeat that. This voice comes to vindicate his people. Now remember, all of these wicked ones are coming to blot them out. Psalms 83. Zephaniah chapter 2, a decree went out, right, for them to kill them. So God now interposes to vindicate his people. Hey, this people were right all the time. You were wrong. And we're going to see that from the Bible. As he does that, as his voice now comes to the heavens and the earth, it shakes the heaven and the earth. His voice judges his people or vindicates them. The psalmist goes on to say, gather my saints together unto me. So there's a gathering of the saints. Those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Now, just in case you're lost, I want to say something here to make you think along the lines that you should be thinking about. At that time, when God's voice comes to vindicate his people, there will be a gathering of his people. But those now who has lived faithfully under the third angel's message. So I'm giving you hints here, hoping that you really understand, but we're going to still explain it later on, right? It says, and the heaven shall declare his righteousness. So something in the heavens will declare his righteousness. For God is judge himself. Selah. Now, we know what the righteousness is, but we're going to see it just now. Psalms 119 verses 142. We're going to see it shortly, right? So God's voice comes, it shakes the heaven and the earth. It comes to vindicate his people. There's a gathering of those who would have lived faithfully under the third angel's message, or those who would have received the covenant, those night workers who received the covenant. And then God now reveals his righteousness in the heavens, which is the atmosphere. We will see it in the atmosphere. So what is taking place here? We want to look at the Bibles and see what is taking place. So Revelation 16:17, we read this already. This is God's voice coming, and he says, it is done. At the beginning of the seventh plague, the angel pours out the vial, and God says, it is done. So this is congruent, or it is in alignment with Psalms 50, right? So God does not stay silent. He calls from the heavens, right? So it aligns with that. Could someone find Revelation chapter 3 and read verses 8 to 10?
Yes, I have it.
Yeah, you can read it when you get it there.
Revelation 3 verse 8. I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. For you have a little strength. Have kept my word, and have not denied my name.
No, pause there. I just want to explain it. So what is being presented here, that this open and shut door, this is God's covenant or God's sanctuary, right? Because we know that he went in, he opened the door, he went into the most holy place, he opened that door and shut a door and so forth, right? So this is this referencing his sanctuary. So go ahead.
Indeed, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Indeed, I will make them come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you.
No, Paul, what is God saying now? I wonder if you will catch what God is saying there. What is God doing at this time, or what promises has been left there, what God is going to do at a particular time? I will make them who say they are Jews, but they are actually of the synagogue of Satan. I will make them come to worship before thy feet. And here what the key word is, and to know that I have loved thee. What is God doing there?
Because they was unkind to us, God's people. God will help them to realize the stupidity, for want of a better word. Because if you love God, God will make them see what you were saying was right, and they will confess, you know what they was doing is the truth.
Right. So what God does, he judges his people, or he vindicates them, right? Those who have the open and shut door, or those who have the covenant. So at this time, God's voice now vindicates his saints, and they, the wicked ones, they will know that God truly loved these people. Right? So you all catching what the Bible is teaching us here?
Yeah.
Right? Continue. You close off at verse 10.
Because you have kept my command to persevere, I will
hold on. Let me because yours is a different text, they may be lost who now verse 10 says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. So I want to break this down. I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. We could replace that with, I will keep thee from Jacob's time of trouble. I will keep you. So we understand the context God is telling us here in Revelation, right? This group of people would have gone through Jacob's time of trouble. God's voice vindicates them. The world wanted to wipe them out, but he now comes in to vindicate them. So this is the context that God is trying to bring to us. And again, Psalms 50 also captures that as well. Something else happens. I need someone to read Daniel 12 because God says he will gather his saints, right? Daniel 12, chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Because something else happens as well. God vindicates his saints, but something else simultaneously happens. Daniel 12, verses 1 and 2. And whoever reads it, could you explain it as well?
Well, when you say explain, I just bow my head, yes?
No, go ahead. I think it's
You can handle it.
I will read. It says, at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for his children of the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book of life.
No, pause there.
Yes?
Go ahead and explain it.
In short, what it's saying is that God, when God stand up, he himself will protect us. Those that remain alive, the 144,000, he will protect them. All right, they need not worry because the powerful angel will be there according to the reading that will protect God's people. Is God protecting his people at that time? They cannot touch those that remain alive.
No, and I just want to add one thing in relation to it is done. Hear what the verse says, and at that time thy people shall be delivered. So this voice vindicates God's people. It delivers God's people. Because when this happens, the wicked can't touch them.
That's right.
And we would have saw that at this time their bodies light up. Just as Moses was lit. Their faces will light it up. So God now vindicates. He judged them. Their names have been blotted out from the book of sin and kept in the book of life. So God now comes in to vindicate his people. Go ahead to verse 2.
It says, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Well, this talk about the second resurrection here, because those that will come up, but in fact, all of them will come up, but some to life and some to everlasting condemnation and death.
No, you said second resurrection. You wanna you sticking with that or
no? Okay, if this is the time when Christ comes, there will be a special resurrection, and that special resurrection.
So this is the special resurrection.
Yes, that is. If this is they're talking about the special resurrection, that is those who pierce Christ. Because remember, he tell them in his word that they will see him coming in glory, and for them to see him, they have to be arisen.
Right.
I hope on the right path.
Yes, yeah, you're correct. So this is the special resurrection. We from the Revelation study, we know that Christ does not do this one. The Father's voice does it, right? And I
Yes.
think it's in John chapter 5. The Father must do, and then he would follow. So when Christ comes now, then the general resurrection or the second resurrection will take place, etc., etc. But Psalm says when God's voice judges his people or vindicates his people or delivers his people, something happens simultaneously. God will gather the saints, those who have made a covenant with him. So what will happen simultaneously? Let me see if I have a simultaneously now. We're just going to focus on the righteous, right? We know that some of the wicked dead would be arisen as well. So at this time, Christ hasn't come as yet. He's still in heaven. Simultaneously, there would be those who died faithfully in the third angel's message. They would be risen with glorified bodies. Christ has not come yet. The Father voice does this, right? And in the Revelation study, we looked at that when the voice of God shakes the heaven and the earth, graves are open, and the dead who die faithfully in the third angel's message, they come forth with glorified bodies. So God gathers his covenant-keeping people, right? So again, God is vindicating his people before the world.
Yeah.
The world is looking at this. So God is vindicating. They have utterly denied the loud cry. They don't want to hear about God, his righteousness, whatever. They had ample time to accept, right? But now they would have gone to the extent of wanting to wipe out God, and God now vindicates his saints. So the 144,000 are vindicated, and he also raises those who sleep faithfully, having received the covenant message or the third angel's message. Now, again, the purpose is, remember we just read, God is going to reveal his covenant to them. So not only the 144,000, there are those who lived faithfully by faith under the covenant message. They also will see God's covenant, right?
Elder, you know, I just look for the pin on the nail head, the nail head. and I'm not seeing what I'm supposed to be seeing, man.
Who's that? Who's that?
I'm looking for my ancestors and people like me.
No, well, remember our bodies are glorified. So really and truly, we don't know how we would be here.
Yeah.
Because
So
remember,
one color.
Well, I can't say, you know. I really can't say. Because when we look at the Bible, and we look at the state of the glorified bodies, we can't explain it. It is going to be glorious. We really can't explain it. What you would know me for and what I would know you for is your voice and your character and your mannerisms. So yeah, this is what we would know each other by. But like to say, well, you look like Mary when you're younger, nah, you would look totally different. It's a totally different experience. Yeah, go ahead.
God is a God of variety.
Yeah, many colors, man.
God is a God of variety, but it's not our salvation to find out what color we gonna look like. Yeah. But just know that when he created the world, different type of flowers. So who's saying he had different color people? We don't saw
yeah, correct.
We just for saying that the Bible didn't say. Right? But we just saying that. But God is a God of variety. Amen.
Yeah, correct. And no, just for information before we move forward, this special resurrection only takes place with those who would have died from henceforth, October 22nd, 1844 till this time. Right? So this is the blessing of the henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that your work shall follow you. So God takes account of those who would have come into that 1844, that message, that covenant message he gave to the ninth hour workers. So this isn't Noah, no, this is the ninth hour workers from October 22nd, 1844. These who die faithfully in the third angel's message, they now will come up. Why? because God now gathered up his people in 1844. These were his ambassadors. Yes, the devil prolonged the time, but yet throughout that time frame, there were those who were living faithfully, spreading the word, overcoming sin, etc., etc. So God now raises them up, right?
And you see the contrast between the two set of people? Some have
Yes.
palm branches in their hand, and the devil people have swords and spears.
Correct. No, again, they come up with glorified bodies. The 144,000 do not have glorified bodies, right? Let's move forward. Psalms also says that after this gathering, the heaven shall declare his righteousness, right? So God is going to reveal his covenant to them. And Psalms 119, verses 142, explains to us that his law is his truth, but it uses Hebrew parallelism. So the first part says, speaks about his righteousness. So his law and righteousness go hand in hand. So, and you all have to understand, what happened? These wicked ones have been breaking God's law. They have rejected God's law. And now God is going to say, okay, you didn't want to believe it. Well, here it is. And he's going to reveal to everyone his law. So I want to read something here from and we're coming to a close shortly, right? It says the clouds sweep back and the starry heavens are seen, unspeakable glories in contrast with the black and angry firmament on every side. Now, hear what is seen, right? The glory of the celestial city streams from the gate ajar. Now, we have not seen this city as yet, but at this time, God is revealing it to the world, right? And again, Psalms 50 says it, etc., right? In the temple will be seen the Ark of the Testament. So again, this is also part of the covenant as well. So the word, now remember, we have been preaching this to the world. Now let's put ourselves there. We have been telling them about the covenant, the sanctuary, get your sins in there and get it blotted out and all of these things. And they have rejected it. So God is showing them it. What they were speaking was true. Right? In which
I just sharing our personal thing, huh? I really like to talk more personal things too much, but this is just for me, you know. I just seen it for me. I believe that before Christ comes, that the Ark of the Covenant will be revealed and we will see the 10 Commandments. I just
believe.
Correct. Correct. You are 100% correct there. And now hear what happens as well, right? So the temple is seen that the Ark of the Testament, in which was placed the 2 tables of stone. Let me just go off there. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, sorry about that. On which are written God's law. These tables of stone will be brought forth from their hiding place, and on them will be seen the 10 Commandments engraven by the finger of God. These tables of stone, now laying in the Ark of the Testament, will be a convincing testimony to the truth and binding claims of God's law.
Yeah, that's why I believe. I believe it. But I believe we'll hold it up, you know. I believe that men will hold that in their hand, you know, and people will see it.
No. Hear what it goes on to say, right? Sacrilegious minds and hearts have thought they were mighty enough to change the times and laws of Jehovah. So we know what that means, right? But safe in the archives of heaven, in the Ark of God, are the original commandments written upon the 2 tablets of stone. No potentate of earth has power to draw forth those tables from their sacred hiding place beneath the mercy seat. there appears again in the sky. So they see that, right? They see the sanctuary. God does this miracle for them, so everybody will see it, right? Even if you're half blind, right? So there appears against the sky a hand holding 2 tables of stone folded together. Says the prophet, and she quotes Psalms 50, the heavens shall declare his righteousness, or the law, right? For God is judge himself. The holy law, God's righteousness, that amid thunder and flames will proclaim from Sinai as the guide of life, is now revealed to men as the rule of judgment. The hand opens the tables, and they are seen the precepts of the Decalogue, traced as with a pen of fire. The words are so plain that all can read them. Memory is aroused. The darkness of superstition and heresy is swept from every mind, and God's 10 words, brief, comprehensive, and authoritative, are presented to the view of all the inhabitants of the earth. It is impossible to describe the horror and despair of those who have trampled upon God's holy requirements.
That come like the final writing on the wall.
Yeah, that's it.
It's very few times God wrote her. The first time he wrote the 10 Commandments with his finger. The second time was in Babylon for Belshazzar. Belshazzar, sorry. But God liked to operate in trees. He liked to operate in trees. So when will be the third time, right?
So here now we see that God now reveals to his saints and to the world and to the wicked, right? And the Bible says that he reveals his sanctuary, he reveals his Lord, and that is part of the covenant. That is part of the covenant. So he reveals it. Now, another thing as well, these saints will be his witness too. And I put here, I put here type meets antitype. Because yes, they see God's covenant, but God also permits his saints to see something else as well, right? Now, Leviticus 21 verse 9 says, and the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father, she shall be burnt with fire. So this is type, right? This is from the writings of Moses, but it has an antitypical fulfillment. So I'm going to read it again. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father, and she shall be burnt with fire. And generally, when these executions were done, they were done in the witness of the saints, of the Jews, right? The people, right? So, and it's a dual application. Even when they were stoned for some sort of sin, that was done in the view of the people. So we're just going to look at this one part here, and I'm going to put up a picture, and I'm going to ask you if you understand what the type and antitype means. We did it in the Revelation study, but I'm hoping that you remembered. So let's move forward. And I'm going to read the Psalms here, and you just look at the picture and see if it is you catch what I was trying to allude to.
But let me just make one small point with this too. Remember, in types and antitypes, God tends to always repeat and enlarge. That is the purpose of types and antitypes. Now, the last days will be called the days of Elijah, right? So, if you had the days of Elijah, and you just read about a whore and a daughter of the priest, guess it's going to have a Jezebel, huh?
Correct. That is where I wanted to go. So that is where I want to go. Now, even Psalms 18:12 says, at the brightness that was before him, his thick clouds passed. And we looked at this in Revelation study. Hailstones, so the 7th plague is hailstones, But the psalmist also says, and coals of fire. And we looked at Revelation 18, and we saw that there were two, a mother and a daughter, as Brother Lincoln was alluding to, who were denoted as, well, the mother was the whore. She professed to be a daughter of a priest. The Bible is saying because she profaned herself, she must be burnt with fire. And also another entity that God himself raised as a Christian nation, so it was a daughter of Zion, because they made an image to the whore, she also shall be burnt with fire.
Hey,
You all remember the study? What this denotes?
Revelation 17. The whole, the church that all right, the mother is the church, the head church is the Catholic or Roman church, and she causes others, which is she daughters, and them the other churches spring up. Well, I want to call name.
Don't call name.
No, the different churches, right? The different churches.
False Protestants.
Fornicate, right? To go against God word. Right?
And right. I like where you're going. Go ahead, Sister Helen, go ahead.
I say America is the one that have that image of the woman. I can't remember the name of it. That tall image that they have. The icon.
Oh, the icon,
yes, that's right.
No, what happens? So what happens? God has his witnesses here, right? So he has his saints and even the wicked, right? And when we looked at Revelation, we saw that before Christ comes, a specific punishment will be ushered out to Rome and America.
Yes.
And we saw that they would be cast into the lake of fire. This is not hell's fire. Remember, we looked at that, right? This isn't hell's fire when Christ comes back after the millennium and burns. No. This is a specific punishment because these two nations would have led the world into rebellion.
Yes.
Right? And again, Psalm says that the kings will see these, well, speaking of Rome, they will see it, the smoke afar off, and they would wonder, right? In one day has a plagues come, and so forth and so forth. So this is a specific punishment that will be ushered out to these nations. And again, the hail will fall and destroy the wicked. Now, I have 3 pictures. So if you want to focus on this one here, where I'm circling. After that, so we're coming to a close, so I'm kind of just summarizing everything, right? After that, Christ will come, and he will take the saints, and the Feast of Tabernacles will take place, right? The 7-day journey back to heaven. We would have covered that already. When we are in heaven, for that millennium, we will be going through the books, right? Reviewing the books, judging. We will see how God was just with all, even those who are lost. We would see that, he was really just and patient with them, right? Now, after that, after this period, and again, remember the angels are aware that God is just. We aren't aware. So again, this is a blessing for us as well, right? Again, Christ returns with his saints and the temple. The wicked are resurrected and they surround the city to take over. Hellfire comes down, destroys them, and we have a new heaven and a new earth. Now, before that, Christ doesn't just execute judgment just like that, right? He is very methodical. He's very not methodical. He's very thoughtful. He's process oriented, and before he unleashes hellfire upon the wicked, we know that Revelation says concerning the dead, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. So they stand for judgment before God, and the books, plural, will open, and another book was open, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. So again, God doesn't just come back and burn the wicked. He literally shows them why they will receive this punishment. And he doesn't have to, but he does it. And again, Jude says he comes to execute judgment and to convince. So the convincing is to prove, to show them the books. Here what you are lost because of X, Y, and Z. You had X and Y and Z opportunity and you didn't take that chance. So your punishment will be this, right? So again, we would have studied this in the Revelation study, and we're coming to a close here. And Revelation 21 verses 1 to 5 speaks of the new heavens and the new earth and God's city and temple being on earth, right? And this is what we want to reach to, right? This is why we have been studying the sanctuary, because God now has restored all things. And this was the purpose of the sanctuary. God himself took upon himself the punishment that we should have taken. And now, because of our faithfulness in him, he has restored all things. And I like how the great controversy ends it. It says the great controversies ended. So we could wipe before that and say, oh gosh, boy, this thing over. Now, remember, at this time we have our glorified bodies, so it do nothing like temptation. At this time, when we receive our glorified bodies, there is no temptation or anything like that. It says sin and sinners are no more. The entire universe is clean.
Amen.
Again, the sanctuary, the purpose of the sanctuary was to clean up that mistake that took place. One pulse of harmony and gladness beats through the vast creation. From him who created all flows life and light and gladness. Throughout the realms of illuminable space, from the minutest atom to the greatest world, all things, animate and inanimate, in their unshadowed beauty and perfect joy, declare that God is love.
Amen.
And this brings us to the end of the study. The purpose why God set up his sanctuary, it was birthed out of love. If any was to fall, I will take upon myself that punishment, and they could be set free. And what we have to remember, even though Christ looks wonderful here and whatever, now remember, for eternity, he will be like us, one, and he will have these piercings to his side and his hands and his feet and the whips on his back, and he will forever bear that. Right? So let's while we should have bear that, right? He now has redeemed us. He has brought us back to a state of perfection and glorified bodies where he himself has borne the curse for us. And for this cause, we will worship him and we will honor him and we will be glad throughout eternity that our God stooped down. And that was a big stoop, eh? He went below the white line for us. So we will ever be grateful for the sacrifice that our God has done for us. And being redeemed, now he is able to dwell back in his original temple. Know ye not that your bodies is the temple of God? So this brings us to the end of our study, brethren. I pray that we were truly blessed. And at this time, if it is you all have questions, I will field them at this time.